Well, hey there, I'm Tiffany, wife, mom of 3 boys, educator, and food and wine lover. I created the Homeschool Company podcast so that I could take all my years of experience as a K-12 teacher, administrator, and homeschool mom and share it with you in bite-sized, easy-to-follow action steps. And spoiler alert, you don't need a teaching credential to be a great homeschool mom. What you do need is a deep desire to connect with your kids and a growth mindset to learn and push yourself beyond your comfort zone so you can educate your kids on your own terms. You are closer than you think to creating an education lifestyle you love, and I'm going to show you how. Are you ready? Let's do this. You've got this. Well, hey there. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 2. And if you've not yet downloaded my free guide, Boost Your Self-Confidence, 7 Simple Strategies Every New Homeschool Mom Should Know, I want you to stop right here and go grab the free guide. You can find it at learntohomeschool.com/freebie. That's learntohomeschool.com/FREEBIE. Go grab your download of the free guide because today is episode 1 of my 7-part series, and I'm going to be breaking down all my 7 strategies with you. So you will definitely want to have that guide. All right. When I break down these strategies, I'm going to be sharing my personal stories along the way, as well as providing you with the simple step-by-step action steps that you can take to apply these strategies to your homeschool world. So let's get into it. All right, strategy number 1 is start scared. I know that feels totally uncomfortable and not something that any of us like doing, but as I told you, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone in order to go on this journey. And it starts with step 1. You have to start scared. You have to start before you're ready. And the reason why we really have to do that when we're talking about educating kids is because time is ticking. As you know, like raising kids goes by in a blink of an eye. I don't know what it is. It's like they seem to stay in that baby stage for a few years, but it's like the moment they start learning and hit kindergarten, it's like the years disappear. So we know that time is ticking. But this can be a good and a bad thing. And because I'm a bit of an optimist, I'm going to start with the bad so I can end with something good. So here's the bad part about time ticking away, is that it's like that game, Ready or Not, Here I Come. It's like, here comes another school year, and ready or not, you have to be ready to get started and make a decision. And if you're brand new to this concept or this idea, that can feel really scary and like a lot of pressure. But the good thing about that is that it forces you to take action, right? It forces you to say, okay, is this going to be the year that I finally make a decision to homeschool my kids or put my kids in a charter or do something that will allow me to be more in touch with what they're doing and have more stake in what they're learning and move towards creating that homeschool or education lifestyle that I really want to have. And it kind of has to come from a little bit of that extra pressure. And that could be just the regular calendar school year, like, okay, it's coming up to August, September, what are you going to do? Or it could just be that next grade level, like, okay, I said that I would do this when they started kindergarten, and that's around the corner. So sometimes a little bit of that pressure can actually be a good thing because it does force you to take a little bit of action. A quick story for me about how starting scared really helped me was back when I even made the shift from a brick and mortar into this more personalized learning world. It was like 2009. I just had my oldest son, Dylan, and he was, maybe like a year and a half at that time. And the school district that I had been working for was on a hiring freeze. It was the recession. I was in my whole stay-at-home mom mode anyways and didn't really think that I'd be heading back to the workforce. But because of that recession, it kind of seemed like something my husband and I were like, yeah, that'd probably be the best thing to do. So it's like February 2009. I am just thinking about what the options are, and there is nothing out there. No jobs are hiring or no schools are hiring. Everybody's like on this hiring freeze. So I did find this listing for a charter school, and I'm like, what in the world is a charter school? I have no idea what that is, but kind of looks interesting. And I was willing to kind of be curious about it and go and check it out. So long story short, I went down to the charter school and I literally walked in the door. And the first question I asked is, what is the charter school? What is this? And they explained to me a little bit about how charter schools work. They're sponsored by the larger districts in the area, but they just operate a little bit smaller and they get a chance to do things in their own way. And they had a chance to create this charter school that was a personalized learning charter school that really put kids first and really tailored the education around the kids. And I fell in love with that concept. They had just moved to the area and were just getting established. Their sub had fallen through. And so they were kind of really operating on a shoestring. And they were like, can you just come in on Monday and do a live interview, teach the class? And we just want to see how you are with the kids and see how that goes. And I was like, sure. Yeah, sure. I can be here Monday. No problem. Mind you, I was just trying to check it out. So all of a sudden going from just checking out something to hey, you can teach on Monday was not what I was expecting whatsoever. And I remember talking to my husband, I think I may have just gotten a job. I'm not sure. But I'm going in on Monday to check it out. So I did, and I ended up getting the job there, and I loved it because the type of program that it was a 70-30 on-campus homeschool split. So 70% of the time, students were on campus in classrooms learning from a teacher, and the other 30% was at home with a homeschool parent, and they had homeschool work that they'd be following or projects they were doing, and it was amazing. I loved it. I loved seeing how parents could work with kids at home and they could be more involved in their kids' education. And I loved it from a teacher perspective, but I also loved it from being able to help the moms and coach the moms through that portion of their education for the kids. So it was pretty great. So fast forward, a few years later, I ended up teaching there for a while. My kids ended up enrolling in that school. I started doing that hybrid homeschool classroom teaching thing with them. I loved that experience so much. It just was so great to be part of teaching them how to read and helping them learn skills on Google and creating all these cool projects. That was really fun. I ended up becoming the administrator of that program, and that's where I really fell in love with leadership, but it all turned out to be a really great thing. But, I started scared. I didn't have any clue as to what I was walking into. I didn't have things figured out. I had this new baby at home. I mean, he was only a year and a half. So now I was okay, there goes my stay-at-home mom plan. Now I need to figure out, am I going to put him in daycare or how's that going to work? I mean, that wasn't what I was thinking. That wasn't how I was identifying myself at the time. And, but I just knew it was an opportunity that I had to take. And so here I was February, right? Who starts a teaching job in February? Nobody wants to start a teaching job in February. Everything that was going through my mind was resistance. This is way late in the school year. My classroom's not set up yet. I don't have any systems in place. Probably a lot of the things that you might be feeling if you are making a change at some point in the year that is an unexpected time. But it was an opportunity that came my way. And if I didn't take that opportunity, if I literally would not have walked through the door that opened my whole eyes to this whole new world of personalized learning and homeschool education and working with my kids, I never would have come across that, I don't think. I think I probably would have gone right back into brick and mortar, into something that I was comfortable with and stayed there forever. So sometimes starting scared really does pay off. It's really the way to go. And I mean, we all have to start somewhere. We have to. So just knowing that even if you don't know everything and you're feeling scared about the choices that you're making, but something is continuing to propel you through that door, cross you over that threshold, kind of going with that ready or not, here I am, I'm showing up for it and going for it can be really, really rewarding. So although I was a teacher, I wholeheartedly believe that you do not have to be a teacher to be a great homeschool mom. I mean, your job is really to be more of a facilitator and a coordinator of the learning, to guide your kids through the learning. And you really only have to be like a little bit ahead of them in order to do that. And that is something that I'm going to talk more about in this podcast. But your job is really just to be that facilitator, that coordinator. You're not trying to manage in a entire classroom, and you're not trying to become a master teacher of reading or like a masterful 5th grade teacher of science. And you're not even trying to become the curriculum expert where you know all the ins and outs of all the different ways that you can use the curriculum. Those are just tools that you're going to be using to help you guide your child through their education. So when you are showing up and you're showing up scared, that's okay. Because what you're doing is that you are showing your kids that you believe in something bigger. You believe in something better that will connect you as a mom to your kids and connect you as a family. And even though you're feeling a little bit scared about that, like you're willing to put yourself out there because you know what's on the other side of that fear is joy and happiness and fulfillment and knowing that you met your kids' needs, knowing that you saw them for the people that they were, and knowing that you steered them along the way in a way that maximized their journey and helped them to see their full potential. And I know you believe that to your core, which is why you're here and why you're willing to learn and grow and kind of get yourself past that point of fear so that you can get on the other side of it. So when you are feeling scared, I want you to remember this. It's the abundance that you asked for. You put it out there like, I want something different. I want something better. I want to be more involved. I want to have more say. I want to educate my kids on my own terms. And so when all of a sudden you're feeling like a little bit overwhelmed or a little bit scared, it's just all of that abundance that you asked for is inside of you, and it's just waiting to explode in the right way. And it's that abundance of time and freedom and personalization. So it's like all of this ability to do things in your own way, but you just haven't figured out how to navigate that yet. But you will. So accept that feeling and acknowledge that feeling like, okay, this is why I'm feeling that fear, and use it. Like use that momentum to propel you forward. Because if you are feeling that way, it's kind of like you're that first domino at the beginning of that beautiful chain reaction that's about to take place. But that first domino has to make a move. That first domino has to take that potential energy and be willing to move forward, make a move to start that chain reaction. And then once that chain reaction happens and you've put yourself past the fear, then all of the moments that you want to have lined up for you can take place. But without kind of going through that first step and starting the chain reaction, everything will stand still. So you have to really kind of accept that that's what your role is and to get things started and push past that little bit of fear. So here's the simple action step that I want you to do. And I want you to ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, what do I need to understand, be aware of, or believe in order to take the next step? Maybe it's something very official. I need to go to the hslda.org so that I can understand homeschool laws in my state. And I'll share that link with you in the show notes, hslda.org. But maybe that is something that you need to understand. You just need to wrap your head around, what can I do? What can I do? Understand those laws. Sometimes that's just what you need to help you get over the threshold of the first step. Or maybe it's something that you need to be aware of. I need to be aware how my fear is rubbing off on my kids. And now I'm making them really anxious about this homeschool adventure. And instead of doing something together that feels fun and exciting, it's starting to feel really overwhelming. And, that's something that you need to be aware of sometimes just when you're getting started is how is that playing out? Or you might need to ask yourself, what do I believe? I need to believe that I'm capable of figuring this out. And I need to believe that it's okay to not have it all figured out in order to get started. And that starting out, ready or not, is better than never starting at all. So that's really the question that I want you to ask yourself today is, what do I need to understand, be aware of, or believe in order to take that next step? I want you to start scared, and I want you to know you got a whole community behind you. So you've got this. You can do it. and I'll see you on the next one.